sort of step away from all that's going on in our world. It's a night not to talk about presidents, but rather about a queen, about the Shabbat queen, and inviting her into our lives for a sense of peace. We turn to page 13. Let's begin with Shalom Aleichem, a prayer truly of peace. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Ayonim, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Malachem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayonim, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayonim, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzechem leShalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Ayonim, Melech, Malachi Amlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. If you are watching online or if you're on YouTube, we need a minion here on Zoom. So if you have the opportunity and you feel that you look wonderful this evening and you'd like to share the glory, please join us on Zoom so that by the time we get to Baruch Hu, we can have a minion. We continue with page 15. Lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina, naria, naria, letzor yishenu, nikadma fana bitoda. Naria, naria, letzor yishenu, bezmiro naria lo. Lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina lanai. Lechon niranina, lechon niranina, lechon niranina ladunai. Arba'im shana kol bedor v'amar amtoi levavhem v'im lo yadu dirachai asher nitbati v'apim yiron el menuchati. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, v'chol ha'amim nifleotav. Ki gadol Adonai, u'mula me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, ya'ela, 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 yalla la 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 yalla la yalla la yalla la 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 yalla la 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 yalla la 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 yalla la yalla la yalla la 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 yalla la yalla la yalla la 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 yalla la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, Yismechu hashamayim, B'tagil haaretz, Yiramayam, 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 Umelo, Yiramayam, 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 Umelo, Yalo Sadai B'Kol Asher Bo'az Yiramenu Kol Hatzei Ya'ar Lifnei Adonai Kiva Kiva Lifnor Haaretz Yishpot Tevel B'Tzedek Ve'amim Be'emunato. Page 17. Adonai Malach Tevel Haaretz Yisrael. Or Zaru ala tzadik, ul yishrei lev, simecho tzadikim b'Adonai, vehodu lezecher kodsho. Mizmor shir l'Adonai, shir chadash ki niflot, hasahu shiholim min ozro hakodsho. חינוך לכל זמרה בחצות, ובכל שבת נביא לפני המלך עד ירמנו תבליט. לפני אדוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק וימים במישרים. אדוני מלך יגזו עמים, יושב קרובים תנות הארץ, הנבצים גדול ורם הוא כל העמים, יושב גדול ורב קדוש הוא. שמו קוראים אל אדוני והוא יענה בעמוד ענן, ידבר עליהם. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להר קודשו. Once again, if you are on live stream and you have the opportunity to join us here on Zoom and help us make a minyan, that would be wonderful. We'd appreciate it. We continue page 20. Mizmor leDavid, Havul Adonai b'nei Elim, Havul Adonai, Kavod va'od yalem, Havul Adonai kevod shemo, Yishachavul Adonai b'har kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim el hakavod yirim, Adonai hamayim ravim, Kol Adonai b'koach yaleh, Kol Adonai בהדר, כל אדוני שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הלבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון, וסריון כמו בן רעמים יעלה, כל אדוני חוצב לעבוד אש, כל אדוני יחיו מדבר, Yachil Adonai midbar kadesh kol Adonai yechol el hayalon vayechesov ye'aron uvehechalo kulo omer kavod Adonai lamabol yashav yeshev Adonai melech li'olam Adonai oz le'amo yiten Adonai yevarech keramo b'shalom ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Page 21. Lechadodi likrat kala pinne Shabbat nikabela lechadodi likrat kala pinne Shabbat nikabela Shamo v'zachor b'diborecha ishmianu El meyuchad Adonai echarosh moechad l'shem u'tiferet v'liteila lekadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela likrat Shabbat lekov necha ki mekor habiracha merosh mikedem nesucha sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela mikdash melech Ir melocha komitze imitocha habecha rabelach shevet bi'imek habacha hu yachamol alaychem la lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Inari me'apakomi livshibideti partechami al yad b'nishai bet halachmi koreva nafshi ge'ala lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Hitoreri kiva ore komi ori shir daberi kivod Adonai alayik nigla lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela Boi v'shalom materet ala gam besimcha ovetzo ala toch emone am segula boi chala lechadodi likrat kala p'nei Shabbat nikabela. Psalm for Shabbat, page 23. Mizmor Shir L'Yom HaShabbat. Tzadik ata yifrach ki eretz balvanon Shitolim bevet Adonai bechatrot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenovon besevad shenim Pirananim yeyo lehagir ki yashar Adonai tzori velo avlatabo. Adonai malaki lavish havish Adonai otis zaraftikum. Kolam nisune dochiami kolamayim rabim adirim shperayam. Erotecha nemenu ma'olevircha nava kodesh Adonai liorech yamim. Find ourselves without a minion, and so we're going to jump ahead to page 28.
Oh, we've got a minion now.
Here on we have a minion?
Uh-huh.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 24.
Yitkedah v'yitkedah Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
V'yomad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yomeichon v'chayei l'chol Beit Yisrael v'hagalah b'zman karev v'yimru Amen.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach v'yalam elamei al-Maya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramah v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shemei d'kudsha v'richu. Ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran v'yoma v'yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yehi Shlomo Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yaseh shalom b'rumav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Amen. Return to page 28. Ma'ariv, we rise for the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach li'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bivaro ma'ariv hararim b'chochma potech she'arim v'nemer. Oriyum v'lalego mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or. U'mavir yom u'mevir layla u'mavir ben yom u'ben layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El Chai v'kayam et hamidim l'chaleinu li'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Ha'ariv Arabim. 29. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadita Akin Adonai Eloheinu v'shodvenu v'kumenu nasiat b'chukecha v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha u'v'mitzvotecha li'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu v'yorech yamenu uvahem nege yomam v'layla Yahavatecha al tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Alivavecha Veshinantam Livanecha Vidibarta Bam Veshivtecha Bevetecha Uvelechtecha Vaderech Uveshochbecha Uvekumecha Ukeshartam Laota Yadecha V'hayu letotafo b'neinecha u'ketavtam hamezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. We continue silently, pages 30 and 31. V'hayam shemot yishmot v'teshim v'kam v'natati mitar z'kam yito yirem v'asap tekan ekam tiro shuv'yitzarech v'charaf anapet m'yatzan shemot v'ayim וכתבתם על מזו פתקה ושקל מים וימך לאדם אשר נשבע אדוני לבתקלתי להם כימי השמיים על הארץ ויאמר אדוני משה לאמור דבר על בני ישראל ואמרת להם ויעשו להם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם Adonai Elohechem Emet V'yemuna kozot v'kayam aleinu ki hu Adonai Elohim v'yim zovat avanat Yisrael v'mohabad aleinu. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורתי לו ספלה מלכותך ראו בניך בוקי הים לפני משה זה עליינו ויאמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי בד אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גא ישראל. Page 33. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל יא ירושלים ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. יתקדש מרבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון וכידך בישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמרה במברך לעולם עולם עמיה, יתברך יתברך וישתבח, יתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי לקודשה בריחו, לילה מנחה ברכתה ושירתה, תות ברכתה ונחמתה, תמירן ביעלמא, תאמרו Amen. A moment for silent reflection, the words of the Amidah, page 35. Ose shalom bimromav, Hoyase shalom aleinu, V'yarko Yisrael, V'yimro amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, V'yarko Yisrael, Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, Yako Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu, Yako Yisrael. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu. Yako Yisrael v'imero amen. Shabbat Shalom. In last week's Torah portion, Abraham left Canaan shortly after arriving because of a famine, and he went down to Egypt where, because of the Nile River, there was always food. In Egypt, his wife Sarah was abducted by Pharaoh as a result of her incredible beauty. After being struck by a plague from God, Pharaoh returns Sarah, and Abraham leaves Egypt quickly, as the Torah puts it, very heavy with cattle, silver, and with gold that Pharaoh had given him. Can you imagine how Abraham must have felt? Must have been really a sense of mixed emotions. He's grateful to leave Egypt with everyone intact, but now he's very rich. There's a midrash that tells us that Abraham was so poor that when he went down to Egypt, he could not pay the innkeepers on the way and had to ask for food on credit. And yet, as he left Egypt, he must have felt like he had just won the Mega Millions lottery. Speaking of lotteries, let me ask you, how many of you bought a ticket for the Mega Millions lottery recently? And how many of you have won? I imagine the answer to that one is a giant zero. What is the Mega Millions lottery? 44 states have come together for a combined lottery so that they could increase the payout and attract more people to buy a ticket. It can grow very quickly into hundreds of millions of dollars, or a recent lottery that reached $1.6 billion. And when that happens, people line up by the tens of thousands to buy a ticket. What I find personally hard to understand is that in most states, a winning ticket just for that state alone can be a prize of $10 to $20 million or so. Apparently, that doesn't do it for many people. Me personally, I could do it, 5 million, throw it my way and I'll be happy. So the question is why? Why do we need to increase the payout to that degree? They say, as a matter of fact, there's more chance of dying on the way to buy the Mega Millions ticket than to actually win. So the question I ask is, does Judaism permit one to buy a lottery ticket? And the answer is that gambling is permitted in Jewish law for recreational purposes. Certainly not to earn a living, because being a gambler, a professional gambler, can be detrimental to one's soul, to the soul's spiritual health. And also, and I love this, this is great, one should not buy more than one lottery ticket because it would indicate a lack of faith in God. If God wants you to win, one ticket should be enough. My favorite lottery story is of a miser who would bet $10 every week on the lottery. Finally, one day he won, and the prize was $100 million. His wife, who checked the tickets and knew that he had won, was worried about how to break the news to him, for she knew that he had a serious heart condition. So as the story goes, she goes to the rabbi, and she asked the rabbi to tell him the news. But she warned him, be very careful because of her husband's heart condition. She told him, talk about the weather, talk about sports, talk about the shul, gradually work up to the topic of the lottery. So this is what the rabbi did. He talked about sports, he talked about the weather, he talked about the shul, and then he said, tell me, Jake, I hear that you play the lottery. Is that true? Yep, said Jake, every single week. And how much do you play for? Asked the rabbi. $10 every week, said Jake. Tell me, Jake, what would you do if you won $100 million? Well, I'd give it all to the shul, said Jake. And the rabbi had a heart attack. I think buying a lottery ticket may be a good thing, because what it does is it lifts the spirits of everyone who plays. It gives them a sense of hope. It gives them a license to dream, to ask important questions, and to reflect in a meaningful way. Once you buy a ticket, you invariably ask yourself, what would I do with the money if I won? Would you continue to work? And if not, what would you do with your newfound time? Would you build an addition to a new social hall for the synagogue? How much would you give to tzedakah? Would you buy a new home, a new limousine? In short, buying a lottery ticket forces you to ask the question, what would you change about your life? These are not easy questions to answer, and they require a serious sense of soul searching. If you think that if you won the lottery, you would stop working immediately, what does that say about what you do? Do you work just for the money, or is what you do a profession or a calling, or making a contribution to society? If winning the lottery meant quitting your job and having more time to spend, how would you spend it? With your family, exercising, learning Torah, volunteering? In short, the question becomes, what really matters to you? And if it's truly important, if you can define it that that's what you would do with the money, that's what it would enable, why not find the time to do it now? Why buy a lottery ticket when the chances of winning are less than being hit by lightning? You see, without the ticket, without that ticket in your hand, you'll probably never ask yourself these questions. And what could be a more valuable use of a couple dollars, a small amount to pay for the license to dream? So you didn't win the Mega Millions lottery last week. But just like Abraham who left Egypt with cattle, with gold, with silver. And in this week's Parsha, like Abraham and Sarah, who are blessed with a child in their old age, we have each won God's lottery. God has blessed us with many, many things. And let me suggest that we spend some time reflecting how to spend the rest of our lives and the differences we'd like to make, whether we win the Mega Millions lottery or not. That's the goal. That is the hope. It gives us hope. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to turn back in our Sidurim. We continue on page 47. ויכולו השמיים והארץ וכל צבאם ויכל אלוהים ביום השביעי מלאכתו אשר עשה ויפוד ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי ויקדש אותו כי בו שבת מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor, V'Hanora, El Elyon, Koni Shamayim Va'aretz. Magin Avot Bidvaro, Mechayim Etim B'mamaro, Ha'el HaKadosh Ein Kamohu, Hameniach Li'amo, B'yom Shabbat Kodsho, Kivam Ratza Le'aniach Lahem, Kivam Ratza Le'aniach Lahem, Lipanav Nabod Be'irav Ha'pachad, V'nodeh Lishmo B'chol Yom Tamid, Me'en HaBrachot, El HaOgaor Adon HaShalom, Mekadesh HaShabbat U'mbarek Shevi, U'meniach B'kedusha, V'yamedu Shnei Yoneg, Zecher Lemase Bereshit. Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu, Retzei v'imnuchatenu, Kachenu b'mitzvotecha, v'ten chalkenu b'toratecha, Sabenu mitovecha, v'samchenu b'shuatecha, v'taher libeinu, Niyodecha be'emet, v'hankilenu, Adonai Eloheinu, v'yava uvratzon, Shabbat Kodshecha, v'yanuchu ba'Yisrael, Mikadesh Shemecha, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Yitkara v'yikara Shemei Rabba, Me'miyam Hadivra Kirute v'yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'b'chayerecho Beit Yisrael, B'agala u'v'zman karev yimeru, Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mivarach, Le'alam olam Me'amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroma v'yitnase v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yithalash merkudisha brecho li'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tifrata v'nechmata damiran v'yalama v'yimeru amen. Titkabat zelot honu va'ud decho Yisroel kodam au hondi v'shmaya v'yimeru amen. Yehi Shlam Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal Yisrael yimeru. Amen. Ose shalom b'mromav u'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yal Yisrael yimeru. Amen. Turn to page 49, Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho b'yavau v'ratzon inchilanu. Zikaron Maaseh Bereshit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר יציאת מצרים, כי בנו בקרת, אותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, קינכלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. L'chaim. We continue on page 51. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, ולא שמנו כמטבעות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו This Shabbat, our hearts go out to the families of Doris Gruskin, Cecily Sherbel, Marcia Burney, and Mara Ruda. We're observing the yurtzites of Martha Baker, Eli Bensky, Harry Cohen, Barbara Conaway, Rosie Wurzburg Den, Wolf Einstein, Irving Feld, Benjamin Friedland, Joseph Goldstein, Edna Gottlieb, Gay Jokol Greenspan, Uzi Halevi, Paula Cantor, Maya Kirstein, Billy Kasofsky, Ann Magzin, Sadie Nadell, Bernard Resnick, Shirley Richmond, Sam Robinson, Stanford Shep Rosen, Julius Shack, Julius Serchik, Leon Slatko, Simon Susan, Sarah Lee Teitel, Estelle Tozier, and Samuel Weisfeld. All those in a period of mourning, all those observing yahrzeit, words of Kaddish, page 52.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah.
Amen.
Yomad yivrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon v'yamlichon b'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'agalav yizman kari v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Shmei rabbah v'barach v'olam omer maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei d'kudshah v'yichud. Va'ela min kol berchata v'shirata tush berchata v'nechamata damiram b'yomah v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shalom rabba min shemayim v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen.
Aseh shalom b'mamav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen.
Amen. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Tomorrow morning services are at 9:30. We were going to have a speaker from JFS who's going to share with us ways to cope with the anxieties of all the special events going on in our lives at this point. And so we look forward to hearing from him about tools that each of us can embrace in this process. I spoke about hope, and therefore it makes sense to me that we conclude with the words of Hatikva, the hope. page 395. All Lord Baleva Pnima Nefesh Yehudi Homia Ufate Mizra Kadima in Letzion Sophia Od Lagatigvatenu Hatir Lavachno Dabayim Liotam Choshi Be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim Liotam Choshi Be'artzenu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. We ask everyone to reach out to those in the room, to reach out to those who are nearby, to reach out to all others in the community, and we'll conclude by extending the priestly blessing. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichonecha.
Yehי ratzon.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom.
Yehhi ratzon.
A week of health, a week of peace, and we look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow morning. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat shalom.
Thank you,
everybody.
Shabbat.
Good to see y'all.
A pleasure.
Yeah.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, Mark.